trying to adjust all this, sorry. Okay. So I'm going to start by doing a 3-part braid. And I always want to do the first couple of plaits or plates or whatever you guys want to call them to get it going. And then I'm going to take a wee bit of my hair, which I don't really have laid out correctly, so this should be fun. Here we go. And I'm going to add it into 2 of the pieces and then braid some more. So the idea is that if you do one big chunk all at once into the hair, you get this giant lumpy thing that up at wherever you joined it that is not a good look for anybody. I'm going to take some more hair, and I'm just doubling it in half and creating another loop, and this time I'm going to make sure I add it to the chunk that didn't have hair before and braid that into place, and then take another, and these are, I don't know, probably about 1 inch around in diameter, and add it in. I tend to add it to the back, and that's what it looks like in the back when you add it. Do a couple of plaits or plaits or whatever you guys want to call it. Oh, my hair slipping. So have I mentioned that this stuff is like dealing with snot? It's just so much fun to play with. So I'm going to add some more in. Now I'm coming down to the end of the actual hair. And now I'm getting to the point where I just have the synthetic hair. And you want the braid to look like it's narrowing down naturally. So and I did this in 2 colors for A, so that you could see where the hair left off in the braid went in, and 2, because I don't have any really bright blonde hair. So, ta-da! Logic by Larissa. So much fun. I could have been totally cool and been like, oh yeah, no, it was just to show you the difference. It's not. I don't know. Okay. Gonna finish braiding this and be right back. Okay, so as you can see, the mannequin braid ends here. This braid continues on. If this were the same color as this, you wouldn't be able to tell. When I did Mora's hair for her coronation, we found hair that exactly matched hers, and you couldn't tell. So to wrap this in a ribbon, or in this case, some seam binding, once I have the hair braided, if I'm not going to braid it in, I put the tape up through the middle of the hair where the braid starts. And I pull it through till it's roughly half, and then I start wrapping it around. If you wrap it instead of braiding it in, it really helps keep the fake hair into the real hair. And then you just continue down, and then from this you would be able to wrap it up and tie it to itself, do it all the way into a cornet. There'd be enough left over to tie it in. So, you know, huzzah, that works. Now I'm gonna do 2 of the braids on this side so that Krista can see that one style where it's wrapped around. So, oh look, my thing came apart. So we're gonna unbraid this. I'll be back when I've unbraided it. Now you can, if you're very good and you're unbraiding the hair, sometimes you get lucky and you find the halfway point of the hair you added in, and you can actually save it and use it again. But honestly, these packets are like, you know, $1.25 or something. on Amazon. So if you're not into trying to save it, or it's like, you know, like most of us, midnight at war and we could care less, we just want our hair down, and most of us just in a shower. So, okay, be right back. Okay, so I've done this braid and put the extension in, and now I'm gonna do the second one. And you want to put the base of the braids very close to each other for this. And I'm going to start adding, again, pretty high up, because I want this to be fairly thick at the end, but not so thick at the top. So, woo! And sometimes you just get a rat's nest with your synthetic hair. It's so much fun. Sorry about that. When my pit bulls were much younger, my one male pit bull got a bunch of synthetic hair. I had left a piece out to do, and he came in and it looked like he was caught in some giant spider web, and it turns out that no, he had just gotten into the hairpiece I was making and had it everywhere. And it was literally not only all over him, but everywhere in my house. It was just one giant synthetic mess. And now when he hears me pull synthetic hair out, he runs. So, you know, he can learn sometimes. So this happens quite frequently at the bottom of your synthetic hair, where it becomes one giant rat's nest. Which is why you'll see my hands will drop out of frame, and it's because I'm smoothing it out, because you need to plait it a couple of times and then go through and rake the tangles out. And if you get it to the point where it's just awful and you can't do anything with the bottom, cut it off. You know, it may not be as long as you wanted it, but it's there, just cut it off. You're gonna have to cut it off most of the time anyway, so might as well just cut it off. Save yourself some time and problems. And you cut it off just like this. Ta-da! Don't use good hair shears or fabric shears on synthetic hair. It is synthetic, it's basically plastic, so that will be awful. And rubber bands break all the time. So much fun. Trolla, trolla. Alright, so there are my two braids. Ugh. Okay, so I'm going to take the seam binding that I cut off of some linen that I was doing. What I usually do with these is sew them together to make them really long tapes. I didn't do that before this video, my apologies. So I'm just tying them together. So you still want to start your tape by putting it through the top of one of your braids. And what that does is it keeps it from scooting down your hair as your day goes on, because that is so much fun. Okay, so I've got it anchored in this one, and I'm simply going to go around behind and then go under and loop them together, go around, go behind, loop them together, go around, right? Go behind. You don't even have to really keep track of which direction you're crossing them in. Go behind, cross them over, go behind, cross them over, go behind. So I'm crossing them across each other in the front, and then just literally tucking them behind the two braids and then separating it out behind and wrapping them around the front. So cross it over, put the cross behind, grab the ends, bring them around. You just want to make sure that it stays crossed so that it actually joins the two together. And that's that ribbon look, Krista, you were looking for. They may have also, and you might want to anchor it through this braid as well so that you don't get this. Can you see where I've got a chunk of braid with nothing in it here? So if I had anchored that up here like this, I'll just show you because I shouldn't be lazy. I am, by the way, literally waiting for paint to dry, which is why I look like shit. I'm painting my bathroom right now. And I thought, hey, while I'm waiting for paint to dry, I could do the video I promised everybody I was going to do. Okay. So I went through the back of this one. I'm going to go through the back of this one and pull this chunk out. Go behind them. Go around the front. Cross. Go behind. Right? Cross them around the front. Go behind, uncross them, wrap them around the hair. Cross them in the front. Go behind. Separate them out, go behind the hair. And you can do these as close or as far together as you want. If you reverse this, by the way, and do it through the front, it's not going to really look any different. It just, you have to keep going in whatever way you started. Which is the fun part, right? So see how that looks better? Because that actually started up higher. So Krista, that's how they did the two braid look. They may have also done what's called roping, where they took just two sections of hair instead of doing braids on each side. They did each one of these was just two sections of hair, and you twist them in one direction and then you twist them in the opposite direction. It's the same way they make like most ropes, and that would cause it to want to wrap around itself, and then you could wrap the ribbon around those, but you would wrap the ribbon the same way that I did the braids. So we're going to turn Barbie around so you can see this part. And now we're going to braid the ribbon into it, and it's going to be remarkably similar to how we added the hair to it. So this time I'm going to use one of the shorter purple ones so you can see what the heck I'm doing. So we're going to separate this into 3. And I have the ribbon behind in here. So I'm going to take one section and add it to the front section, and one section and add it to the middle so it's behind the middle one. And just keep it in the hair and start braiding. So and you can see some of the stuff coming in, and then I would take the bottom, and again, if you're going to tie it off, you want to make sure that you're going in the opposite direction when you wrap it around the hair. And then you can tie it off. And then if I wanted to bring that up and put it around here, and then when I did the other one, I could actually tie them to each other across the bottom, and that's another way of putting your hair up. Or you can just leave it down. It's kind of pretty that way too. As you can see, because I started in the back, I get a little bit more purple in the back than I do the front. But ta-da! There are your braids. Hope you enjoyed it. Long video. Sorry. Have a good week. Bye.